Welcome back into this week's edition of the Rundown with Caleb and Casey. It's a Friday afternoon. It's a somber pod, Casey, because this is the first installment of the Rundown in the history of this podcast that Jerome Tang, our pal, our friend, has not been the head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats.
Yeah, it's really a true friend of the pod that we have only spoken nicely and wonderfully about. Is out a job and up 18 million probably, So it's really tough to see someone just down on their luck, but we joked about it last pod. We're like, all right, here's the money aspect of things, and they listened and they're like, all right, let's pull the trigger and then fight it so he doesn't get his money. So that's, good on us for helping K-State athletics. We're sorry, Jerome. We shouldn't have covered it. Obviously, if everyone knows we didn't cover it, he would have just got the buyout and they wouldn't have known. But they're fighting it now. I don't think they win, but I think it's just their way of trying to lower the amount in some way, shape, or form. Because as we went over last week or 2 weeks ago, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. I mean, that is essentially 1 year's worth of the cap for rev sharing for one athletic department, right? And I think you're right. I think it's a negotiation tactic, right? Lower that buyout a little bit, meet somewhere in the middle. I'm sure Kansas State would be happy if they were able to pay him just the 9 million versus the 18. I think if his lawyers, convened right now and said, "Hey, how about the 9 instead?" I bet they would take that in a second. But yeah, this is you're right. I think we spoke it into existence. I think we prompted it. And he outlasted Dave Aranda.
He did. No, Dave Aranda outlasted him.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
The way around. Yep. Dave Aranda outlasted him, and of course he did.
Dave Aranda's going to outlast Meg Cronin at this rate, too.
Yeah, I think so.
More on that later.
I think you're right. Pour one out for Jerome. I'm sure he'll find his way at, Tennessee Tech. Maybe Middle Tennessee State if we're really giving him higher aspirations. But yeah, we pretty big episode today. We didn't record last week. The Rundown series is tied back up, by the way, which I don't know. Did we count the UNO Iowa State softball games? Was that part of it?
We did, so I got 2 more of them.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because UNO sweep.
The clean sweep.
So you're still up 1?
No, I'd be up 2.
Are you up 2?
Because Iowa State KU split.
Yep,
which
right.
ties us, then UNO gets both, which puts me up 2.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
But okay, you did make a little bit of a comeback in the picks.
If we're just talking Iowa State KU, then it's tied. But yeah, we factor in the long-awaited Iowa State UNO softball rivalry.
Yep.
With a historic tradition behind it that resulted in a Maverick sweep. Congratulations. Big, awesome weekend in Hilton this past week. Magical weekend, some may call it. Cyclones are back on track after a tough one at the hands of Jamie Dixon and TCU last week. It's crazy, Casey. What I love so much about the college basketball season is that you can have a very short-term memory. You know what I mean? Iowa State loses at TCU last week. Everybody, myself included, thinks the sky is falling. Only put up 55 points down in Fort Worth against maybe a bubble team. At this point, they're probably not. And then, that following Saturday and Monday beats 2 top 10 teams at home. In both electric environments, and everybody essentially forgets about that TCU loss. Right now, it still certainly matters. That's a blemish on the resume, but you've been able to pick yourself back up with some monster performances. And now you've got a real big test tomorrow at BYU, sans Richie Saunders. You know, you hate to see injuries, you really do. That does make that matchup easier. But yeah, you know, this Iowa State team at this point, Casey, you know, last year they had some lulls, right? They never could quite get out of them and get back into this, you know, one seed Big 12 championship conversation. This year they've had the lulls, right? But they've been able to get out of them. That's the difference between this year's team and last year's team. And that you're still able to, you know, feel like you're kind of in that Big 12 regular season and one seed conversation on February 20th.
Yeah, we talked about it heading into the year, how the Big 12 is so hard to win on the road, and Iowa State's proving that. I mean, it was the same thing for Kansas early on in the year. They struggled on the road at places, lost at West Virginia, lost at UCF. Iowa State's 3 losses all on the road, Kansas, Cincinnati, and TCU. The conference is just so good that, I mean, we knew these lower and mid-tier teams were going to take a chunk off these big teams because that's how it is every year. Iowa State has it happen against TCU, just didn't have their game, but great tune-up and a great response against Kansas. And, you know, I was really thinking about this is one of the best weekends or, you know, set of days that Hilton has had that I can remember. A win against Kansas at home, an absolute blowout against a team that you really wanted revenge on, and a team that was trending in such a positive direction. And then you go out and beat Houston as well at home. You know, it was a tighter game. It was right in there, but those were 2 incredible wins to an already incredible resume. You know, Iowa State is going to keep pushing and think about the rest of the year. Unfortunately, Richie Saunders out for injury when you go to BYU. Really unfortunate for them, but that does help out the Cyclones. They go to Utah, which is a team that has really struggled so far, so we'll see what happens. And then Texas Tech comes here, and they're without JT Toppin for the rest of the year. You know, you get late in this season and injuries happen, and you look at the rest of the schedule, it wouldn't be that crazy if we went out and said, okay, Iowa State's going to go 27-4. And
Right.
we said heading into this year, a 3-loss, 4-loss team could win the conference, you know, saying that that one loss is at Arizona. Really tough place to play, really solid team right now. Not saying the Clones are going to win that, but if we're just guessing that they lose one game, you know, that's probably the one you're looking to lose. Arizona State's trending in the wrong direction right now. They might not have a coach by that time, and a couple banged up teams in there. If you finish this out strong, you put yourself in an absolutely incredible situation heading into March, which is right where you want to be, and you can win the regular season, you know?
Well said. And, you know, unfortunately, I think at this point, again, that TCU game, you still kind of kick yourself because it's like, man, looking back, I don't think much about that Kansas and Cincinnati, those, you know, those losses, right? Kansas, you know, perfect situation for the Jayhawks at Allen Fieldhouse. And similarly, perfect situation for the Cyclones. It was almost kind of mirror images of each other, the two team situations they were in when it came to both of the home venue matchups. But Cincinnati won 2. Cincinnati shot the lights out of the ball that game. Kind of a Super Bowl-esque game for them. The TCU one stinks. Point I guess I'm trying to make is, unfortunately, at this point, you probably need to win that Arizona game and, of course, all the other ones to win the Big 12 regular season. Now, you get help because there's carnage going on across the league, right? Everybody's playing the bulk of their schedule right now. Arizona is, Houston is, Kansas is, Iowa State obviously is too, right? But you're right there. And that is the big picture right now. You're right there. You have a shot to go do something special, something that hasn't been done since 2001, and that is to go win a regular season Big 12 championship and something that's never been done before at Iowa State, and that's a 1 seed. Iowa State's never been a 1 seed before, at least in the modern era. I don't know what it looked like back in, you know, they went to the Final Four in 1944. Whatever. Modern era college basketball, you've never been a 1 seed. And right now you've got a chance to do it. And this is special. This is a special team. Um, certainly still have flaws, right? My favorite stat, Casey, from Monday night against Houston. And if Iowa State can continue to capitalize in this way, they're going to be a tough team to beat. Only turned the ball over 3 times against one of the best defensive teams in the country in the Houston Cougars. I mean, Ken Palm, the metrics would say that, the eye test would say that. Only 3 turnovers offensively, and then defensively didn't force a ton either. I mean, it was a high quality, clean basketball game. But elite on that front, and I feel like even in these last 2 wins, in a way, you've kind of still been in a bit of a shooting slump. Iowa State started really slow against Kansas, and then they got hot in the second half, which was kind of what was able to pull the Cyclones away from the Jayhawks in that one. But I think that turns around here soon. I think Milan really gets back on track in this upcoming stretch. Biggest concern for me right now, Casey, is free throw shooting for this team. That's been bad. They are I want to say it's something like 20th worst in the country in free throw percentage. Yeah, it's not good. Shooting, I don't know what the exact percentage is right now, but that's the red flag for me, which certainly showed itself on Monday. You get not lucky, but you get bailed out by a couple threes from Bateman and Heisey late in the game to get that win. Free throw shooting is something that I want to see this team at least improve a few percentage points by the time the Big 12 tournament rolls around.
Yeah, anytime you're in a game with a top 2 team, whether you're at home or on the road, and you shoot 22 free throws, we would think you would need to make 16 to 18 of those to really come out and win. The fact that Iowa State shot 50% on 22 free throws and still came out with the game is just insane.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And there's some really poor percentages out there. Milan's shooting 90% from the free throw. We're shooting 66.5 as a team, but Jefferson's shooting under 70%. Taman's shooting under 70%. Killian's shooting right at 70. Blake Buchanan's shooting 44% from the free throw line. Like, that just can't happen. Heisey's shooting under 70. Plata is basically shooting 60%. Nelson off the bench is shooting under 60%. When you really look at it, we've got 3 guys at or above 70% from the free throw line. And 70% is considered average nowadays. Like, I remember growing up, it was like, all right, you 7 out of 10 free throws, 8 out of 10 free throws. That's your goal.
What I want is
as a team, it just hasn't been that way for this entire season. And when you play such good defenses, and you're going to get teams in March Madness, we see it every year. A team goes lights out from the 3-point line that you didn't expect to. You think of the Oaklands, right? Think of Loyola Chicago going deep. They just are on one. They can't miss. You need to hit the free opportunities given to you, because Milan won't hit 4 threes every game. Taman might not have 20. Jefferson might not have a triple-double in March. So you got to get the easy ones at the free throw line when you're given the chance.
You're exactly right. And that will, at some point, Iowa State will be in a game where you have to rely on free throw shooting to get it done, right? Thankfully, again, you get some big time shots from those guys on Monday night to get you over the hump. But, unfortunately, in March, you're not going to have 14,000, 15,000 Iowa State fans surrounding you to kind of power you to that victory. And you got to get it done at the line. I wanted to real quick, and then we can kind of move on to bigger topics. I wanted to give my flowers and give some recognition to that building from this past weekend. You and I, Casey, are big arena fans, right? I think maybe more than the common college basketball fan. We love, and rightfully so, right? You're a fan of a team, of the team that really has objectively the most historic electric venue in college basketball. That's Fog Allen, right? And obviously, me with the Cyclones. Hilton is often regarded to as a top 10, some would say top 5 venue in college basketball. And it certainly was a top 5 type venue. Saturday, yes, Monday especially. Monday was the loudest I've ever seen that place. Now, I'm not a seasoned guy. I know there were some, electric atmospheres back in the 80s and 90s for Johnny Orr and Fred Hoiberg and, even when Fred Hoiberg was a coach too. But that's the loudest I've seen it. I know a lot of people said the same who are older than me. And it wasn't just loudness. It was, Iowa State knew it was an angry Hilton on Saturday, right? Knew the fans knew they needed to get their team up after a bad loss at TCU. And, like you said, that revenge against Kansas after what they did in Allen Fieldhouse. And then on Monday, it was just start to finish. I mean, that place was alive. It was rocking. And it was Hilton magic, right? 10-point comeback with about 5 minutes to go. Nobody ever felt like the Cyclones were out of it, even when Emmanuel Sharp and Kingston Flemings are hitting all these shots. It was cool. It was really cool. It was very fun to be a part of. A little bit emotional too. It's just kind of like, man, a guy like Taman Lipsey, he's coming down to the wire here. 2 more games in that facility, and my goodness, I think he's lost like 4 home games in his 4-year career, which is awesome, right? And the hometown kid, for him to do that is cool. So I wanted to give a quick little flowers to Hilton for what it was this past weekend. And man, let's go undefeated at home again this year. It'd be twice in 3 years to do that. That's always really special. I think at a place too like Iowa State, where everyone takes so much pride in the home arena.
Yeah, without a doubt. I also want to give my flowers to Milan, but I'm going to hit on what you said first. My first experience with Ames and Hilton, obviously coming from, being a Kansas fan and going to those games, going to Omaha games, which are pretty solid, and having the March Madness down there. And when you think Iowa State as a neutral fan who hasn't truly experienced it, you don't think, oh, it's going to be a top 5 atmosphere, and because nothing really happens in the state of Iowa, to be fair. You don't think it's a huge, big city, but the fan base is so bought in, like at every single level. The community of Ames and the Iowa State fans are so bought in to every single sport, and it's really shown in football and basketball the last 2 years, and also our women's sports. You see our women's basketball teams. I think those have been trending in the right direction too. I really wanted to go down to both of those games, but I had to work, and I just knew that Hilton was going to be absolutely insane. Those are 2 huge matchups, and Hilton shows up for games against Grambling State in December that we always go through. They show up in October when we're playing Charleston Southern Technical Institute. So when they get Houston, when they get Kansas, when they get Arizona, it hits that next level, when they get Iowa. And those are without a doubt some of the best atmospheres to experience in the entire sport. Those are blue blood atmospheres from a program that is not considered blue blood, but is starting to put themselves in these high up conversations. But I also want to shoot out Milan Momcilovic. Right now he's shooting 50-50-90 in terms of splits. He would be the 3rd person ever in college basketball to do that. I think he'd be like the 12th person ever to go 50-40-90. And his numbers, except for 3 points attempted, would be the highest in the 50-50-90 club. He is doing something this season that no one has done since the last one was Matt Kennedy of Charleston Southern in 2013, and he averaged 12 points a game. You got to go all the way back to our birth years, Caleb. Salim Stoudemire at Arizona in 04-05. Averaging 50-50-91 on 18 points per game. So Milan could have the 2nd best shooting year ever when you really break it down. And he's got to keep that up. And him hitting free throws is big for us, although he doesn't attempt all that many. Just his splits and what he's done. Because, last year I was critical of him at time because I thought he took too many threes. I thought, he rushed contested looks, and he really worked on that this year. And now he's comfortable taking those. Now he's at a point where he takes those contested shots and you think, oh, perfect. He felt confident shooting that. He got enough space to do it. It's not to the point where it's like, oh, he's shooting 30%. He's shooting low 40s from three, and oh, he's making 80% from the free throw. He's 50, 50, 90. He's in conversations that no Iowa State player's ever been, and truly no player in the sport has been in nearly 2 decades.
It's a special season, and everybody really. Sometimes you just got to stop and smell the flowers, right? It's hard to, with college basketball, especially being as emotional of a sport as it is, but sometimes you got to stop and just recognize that, right? And be like, man, this is special. This is rare stuff we're watching. You're not going to see a guy shoot at this level. I mean, the stats prove it, right? You're not going to see a guy shoot at this, level at Iowa State probably for a long, long time, right? Maybe ever again. So cherish it now. Big one tomorrow at BYU, late night, 9:30 p.m. Central Time. So, man, I think the deck's kind of stacked against the Cyclones a little bit here with BYU. They always talk about that dead cat bounce, right? When somebody major goes down, head coach leaves or something like that, team always responds. Now, BYU had their first game without Richie Saunders this past week against Arizona, didn't win. So I don't know, maybe that was kind of their dead cat bounce game, but it'll be tough. It'll be tough regardless. And they still have one of the best players in the country in AJ Debinsa. Quick thoughts on this game?
It's going to be a dogfight. It's really going to come down to me. Can you keep AJ under 20? If you keep AJ under 20, I don't know how BYU wins this. Because to me, before it was, okay, if you keep AJ under 20, Richie could still hit 4 or 5 threes and go off. Now you take that aspect out. It's you keep AJ under 20, and as long as they're not killing us on offensive rebounds, we should be fine. Bar a 20 turnover game, or something crazy where we just cannot keep the ball. If it's pretty neck and neck on turnovers and AJ stays under 20, this is the Cyclones game. I know all the BYU fans are going to be out. The place is going to be rocking. They're really trying to hold on to that top 25 ranking and push for a good seeding in both the Big 12 tournament play and in March. And unlike certain other players, I think AJ really wants to cement himself as one of the best freshmen in this class. So he's going to be there. He knows everyone's eyes are going to be on this game. So he's going to go out there and try and do everything he can.
Good stuff. Let's talk Big 12, big picture. Little cryptic message there. Unlike certain other players, care to elaborate?
Yeah, and his own head coach came out and said it today. If he wants to change the narrative about him, he's got to play games through the final whistle. You look at Darren Peterson, nicknamed DNP, rightfully. The only times he's really come out and play heavy minutes in the second half is when his stats in the first half weren't very good. So he's really going out there, and I'm not going to deny the player he is. He is, and I've said it time and time again, he is the best player I've watched in a Kansas jersey talent-wise.
Yeah.
It's just a shame you don't see much of it. Right. And there was a conversation I had with Grandpa Dan where it was, all right, you get to March. You're a 3 seed facing like a red-hot Miami, Ohio. Darren Peterson might not play more than 22 minutes, So you need to get out of that second quarter. And then if you struggle in Big 12 play, how much is he going to play off 1 day rest? Kansas really needs to get to the Sweet 16 because then he's playing off 3-4 days rest. He knows all the national eyes are on him no matter what. Then he might actually play. Whereas it's right now that round of 32 game on 1 day rest, even if he does, cramp up and sit out for most of the second half of the round of 64 game, the Jayhawks move on. How much are you going to get out of him right now? And it's frustrating to watch because I truly think if he played, he would have a Trae Young, Cade Cunningham type season where you're sitting there going, oh my goodness, this player is obscene. He's averaging 30. He's got 7 assists a game. He can hit any shot he wants to. But people aren't even tuning in because they don't know if he's going to play that much or not. They don't know how much they're going to watch out of him. And, he's been really good, but at the same time, it's an NBA player load managing at a college level.
Is this because I know there has been some speculation and maybe even some evidence too in the past of this. Is there something with his agent involved? Like, is somebody else calling the shots? Is that probably a bona fide thing, or is that still kind of a theory?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's 100% certain, but I think there's definitely more at play to this. And there has been I think I remember seeing a video where it was like, oh, his agent came up to a coach and said something, and then pregame or something like that. And then I think it was the Arizona game that he didn't play or something, where I've seen stuff like that, but I don't know how much I want to buy into it. And obviously we won't know the truth until it all comes out. And funny enough, there's an HBO series or something like that coming out about Kansas, and I forget who there's 2 teams where they're doing a full documentary of the season. And that was just announced Kansas won of the teams recently. So I wonder if any of that will be in it. And Bill Self was kind of here's a behind the scenes into what this kid is like and what this situation is. And he came out, in his press conference, and he very boldly was like, the conversation about him is the way it is because he's doing everything. He needs to play full games to get to the national media, not, for lack of what better words, being on his back about everything.
Interesting situation. Big picture here. And obviously this will play into it a little bit too, because what's Kansas' record right now? Are they a 4-loss team?
20-6, I believe, okay. And they're 10-3 in conference.
3 loss in the conference. Okay,
so they're right there with the Cyclones.
Right, exactly. I guess I'd forgotten they had a couple non-con losses. In any case, at this point, the Big 12 race is kind of a 4-headed monster, right? With those 2 teams and then Arizona and Houston. I think, Casey, that for the first time in a long time, even a couple of years ago when Iowa State beat Houston in the Big 12 championship, it wasn't really the stakes were that high for that. I think for the first time in a long time, we could see a Big 12 tournament where it's possible that champion determines, one of the 1 seeds. What do you think?
In terms of regular season champion determining the conference 1 seed? Conference tournament 1 seed or the March Madness?
That certainly will play a role, yes.
Yeah.
Because that usually always does, right? Usually, though, the Big 12 tournament doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
It kind of feels like, the Big 12 always has a 1 seed for the most part, right? Houston's been it the last couple of years. Kansas was it the year they won the national championship, Baylor, right? The Big 12 tournament in the past has never really seemed to, play a role in who's going to be that 1 seed from the Big 12, right? It kind of feels like this year that could be the case where the winner on that Saturday of the tournament, in a situation where, okay, let's say, there's so much carnage here and you've got a bunch of teams that are 4-loss conference teams, right? 3 or 4-loss conference teams. And then, maybe one of those 4-loss conference teams ends up running the table, wins that Big 12 tournament championship. I don't know. I just kind of feel like the stakes are a little bit higher in that tournament this year than they have been in years past.
Yeah, and when you really look at just pulling up CBS bracketology to see, kind of where it is. If Duke wins the ACC tournament, they're going to get a 1 seed. If Michigan wins the Big 10 tournament, they're going to get a 1 seed. So it's kind of vying for those last 2 spots. And arguably, it should be two Big 12 teams in that. And it might come down to, hey, let's say of the four, one of them wins the regular season tournament and gets to the regular season Big 12 title and gets to the finals and loses to another one. That should be your other two seeds right there. Because I truly don't have an SEC team that's, blown me away, or a second Big 10 team that I think deserves it. Because when you look at it, it's going to be Florida, or it's going to be, I don't know, Purdue or UConn, and UConn just lost to Creighton.
Shout out Blue Jays, baby.
Yeah, man, the Blue Jays pull one away.
Did you happen to go to that?
That was in stores. They went two.
Oh, that was at UConn, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh
UConn has 2 losses to unranked teams in the last, 10 years, and they're both Creighton in the last 2 years.
Things you love to see.
Yeah. But it really
I'm sorry, I was going to say Greg McDermott, that guy has got Dan Hurley's number. He really does.
He, especially on the road. I wonder if McDermott has the best record on the road against UConn.
I don't know who else would. I mean, how many times, in the last 4 or 5 years has UConn lost at home, right? Or lost in general? They've been so dominant for the most part.
It's been crazy.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, I think we get 2 Big 12 1 seeds this year. And you could arguably have 2 1 seeds, a 2 seed, and a 3 seed.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it, because yes, they could all make the semifinals. And we imagine that Big 12 semifinals of, if let's just say things stay chalk like they are in the standings right now, you get Arizona, Kansas on one side and Houston, Iowa State on the other.
Mm-hmm.
You've got 4 guaranteed top 10 teams and arguably 4 top 8 teams playing against each other. If someone steals one here or there, and we've got Iowa State, Kansas in the finals. And you've got, for sake of matter, Arizona beats Iowa State in the regular season. Arizona wins regular season championship. They hold on. You've got a situation where you've got essentially 3 4-loss teams that have all just beat each other and run the table on everyone else. How I could see how Kansas gets bumped to a 3. I don't see how you bump Houston to a 3. I don't see how you bump Iowa State to a 3. I think we could get a situation where it's 2 1 seeds, a 2 seed, and a 3 seed. And I honestly, with how this conference has been, and if Texas Tech, if JT Toppin didn't get hurt, it would be another 4 seed right there. A 3 seed or a 4 seed right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's really a bummer. But yeah, UConn, I don't think we can overstate how huge for, our Big 12 teams that win from Creighton was, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was massive. That was so massive for all intents and purposes. And I know, obviously tomorrow, Duke and Michigan playing, that's that cracks me up that game is falling, this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Just any other year, right? It may not have mattered as much, but both of those teams are, that 1 seed conversation. I don't think that matters too much at all. Both of those teams are both going to be 1 seeds at this point, barring any sort of disaster or epic meltdown. I don't think that's going to happen. But at this point, yeah, you probably have 2 1 seeds from the Big 12, right? I mean, who does UConn play the rest of the way? Anybody? Do they have any?
St. John's at home. They've got to go. So they've got 2 Villanova and then St. John's at home, and then it's Seton Hall and Marquette. Which, to be fair, if you look at the Big East, and this is one of the worst conference years ever for the Big East. St. John's at 14-1, UConn at 14-2, Villanova at 12-3.
Yeah.
The next best is Seton Hall and Creighton at 8-8.
So, I don't know. It's hard to say what happens with UConn because they, the Big 12 is going to keep on, eating itself alive here, right? these next
Mhm.
couple weeks with the way these schedules are playing out. If they run the table, do they hop back into that 1 seed line?
I mean, I don't, because let's say Arizona doesn't win the Big 12. Arizona's got a head-to-head victory over UConn.
Right. Good point.
So that knocks them down. Arizona doesn't have as bad of a loss. I think the only team, because to me, that Creighton loss is worse than a TCU loss,
For sure.
when I
At home.
compare it to Iowa State.
Yeah.
And, that's as a Creighton fan. Like UConn, I think it's a 7 overall, so they get one of the last two seeds. And did Purdue just lose?
They got beat by Michigan, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
And they've
Didn't
got a
really
loss against
show much in
Indiana,
that game.
and they've got a head-to-head just crushed against Iowa State. So Purdue, to me,
Right.
you're looking at it, Purdue can't jump Iowa State unless, obviously, Iowa State loses out.
Mm-hmm.
UConn's not going to jump Arizona unless I only think the team that falls below them is Kansas. That falls below either of them, and that's UConn's got a head-to-head win over Kansas, and
Sure.
Kansas has too many losses compared to Purdue.
Sure.
That's the only way that I would really put it. And even then, I could see a situation because Michigan, we're assuming Michigan wins out. They're a 1 seed. And you've got Duke, Michigan or Duke, one of them loses and they both win their conference championships. So they're 1 seeds. You've got 2 Big 12 1 seeds. The Big 12 might actually have the number 2 overall team, the number 3 overall team, and the number 5 overall team. And that's not crazy.
Buckle up, baby. Buckle up.
Oh, my.
Here we go.
And they're expecting us to go to school during this time.
School in the month of March is an option. Buckle up. This is why we love the sport. And the way the calendar is playing out this year, I think in some ways you could say as fans of Iowa State and Kansas, it's probably not ideal because you play all these really tough emotional games, physically demanding games right before March. Personally, I'm not very concerned about that, but I know I could see that argument. But from an objective college basketball perspective, this is awesome. The way the calendar is playing out this year is fantastic. And man, we're 10 days away from March, baby. Cue John Rothstein, cue the CBS college basketball theme. It's coming, baby. Here we go.
Oh, this is going to be. It may not. The funny thing is, it may not even be a polarizing year because the top teams are so good.
Mm-hmm.
Miami, Ohio is undefeated. So, there's going to be some lower teams that make a run.
Right.
Your Texas Tech might be a 6 seed, which without Toppin obviously sucks, but they're going to be a really good team. But you look at the 1s and the 2s this season, the freshman class and what they've done, and some of these seniors going out on their last year. This might be one of the best marches that has ever existed.
I think so too. I really, really think so too. Let's hit the 180-degree pivot to the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another insane time of the year.
What?
It's been another insane.
It
March came early in the terms of the Winter Olympics.
If you're watching on YouTube, great. You can see that Casey's little name today in the bottom left of his screen is, quote, "It's called ice football now," of course, alluding to the U.S. hockey team's dominant performances. If you're not watching on YouTube, then go watch on YouTube. It's as simple as that. We also enjoy if you listen on the podcast. That's great too. But the rundown with Caleb and Casey on YouTube, go find it there. Unless you don't want to see our faces, that's fine too. That's okay.
That's understanding.
Yep, understandable for sure. Man, how much fun these Winter Olympics have been so far, Casey?
They have been awesome, and a chance to beat Canada for a second time in their own game. I believe it's tomorrow, right? Is the men's hockey finals.
I think so.
Women's hockey team, just an outstanding performance. I think we outscored teams 33-2 this tournament, and a huge comeback. We're down 1-0 to Canada, score with like 4 minutes left in the third, go to OT, win it in OT. We won our first figure skating gold medal since like 2002 with Eliana Liu. I believe that's her name, Elian Liu, something like that. Chloe Kim almost won snowboarding as well. She finished silver, but she had an incredible performance. Like, the U.S. is, and I think we're second in medal totals right now. We were like fifth at the beginning of the week, and now we're all the way up to second.
Things you love to see. Who's in first right now?
I believe it's Norway, which you would hope, a country that is literally 90% mountains and snow.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, Norway is up. We have more silver
shit.
medals than them. They have 37 total and 17 golds.
Okay.
We have 29 total and 10 golds.
Okay. Yeah, you'd hope one of those Scandinavian countries would be, the blue bloods on a year-to-year basis.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out America, baby. We're big Americans on this pod. Big Patriots. Gosh, I'm never a huge hockey fan during the year, but anytime the Winter Olympics roll around, there's that national pride. We're both big fans of the movie Miracle, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know you're always sending, or you're always referencing the speech that head coach Herb Brooks, right? He was
Herb Brooks.
Yeah.
Great moment.
Right. Oh,
are born from great opportunities.
So good. Chills every time. I feel like that movie influences a lot of my, U.S. hockey fandom, especially considering that was a true story. But
yep.
Electric stuff. I honestly don't have a whole lot else. I feel like you kind of recapped the key stats we've got. But, man, huge, big one tomorrow against Canada. And you know that we will never let that country live this one down if we beat them at their own sport again tomorrow.
No chance that will. We actually play Sunday at 7.
Oh, okay.
We're the very last thing. So
as it should be.
Men's hockey gold, and then it's closing ceremonies. We also tomorrow have the women's bronze medal curling game against Canada, who Canada's been cheating. So we're going to put a stop to that and show them what it truly means to win a medal.
Canada's using Connor Stallions. Everybody knows this.
They're pushing the puck.
Canada's using that one guy that Jerome Tang accused of spying on his huddle. That's
he sending electronic signals to the Iowa State bench. In this terms, it's the U.S. bench.
Yep. Good stuff. Do we have some picks to make today?
I did not have any picks, but we can kind of pick the big ones tomorrow. Arizona, Houston's tomorrow. Michigan. Trying to think. Duke, Michigan's tomorrow.
Yep.
If we want to pick those two games.
What do you say?
If we want to pick those two games in Arizona, Houston.
I like that.
And then Duke, Michigan.
Sure. Let's do that. I'll let you start it off. I'm sorry, what?
Said I'll let you lead it off.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, let's start with Duke, Michigan then. Man, I love this 5:30 tip, and then the Cyclones are at 9:30. So you don't necessarily have a back-to-back doubleheader there, but it's pretty close. You can have a nice little break in between. at Cameron Indoor, um, I think I got to take the Blue Devils here. For as good as Michigan has been, for as complete as I think their roster is, I think this is one of the most complete rosters we've seen in college basketball in a long time. They just do everything, right?
BK ESPN.
I'm sorry. I keep having
MLB.
these ads pop up over here as I'm surfing through ESPN. But just a complete team. I think Duke gets it done in Cameron Indoor. I really do. I don't think they're as complete of a team as Michigan is, but we know how these games go, Casey. We really do. I think the Blue Devils get it done. They're going to want it back after losing to – and obviously that North Carolina lost a couple weeks ago, but they haven't really had a big game since then, right? They're wanting to get a big one back here. Big opportunity against Michigan. I think they win.
Yeah, this is going to be an absolutely fantastic game. The crazies are going to be going all out for this one. And, Cam Boozer, who I did not realize leads Duke in points, rebounds, and assists, which is absolutely crazy.
That's
He's an insane talent, another top 3 pick. Man, he's been doing insane. 22, 10, and 4. As a big, awesome to see. I'm gonna flip you here. I'm gonna go with the number 1 transfer portal player in Yaxel Lindeborg. Go with Dusty May, getting it done. I like this Michigan team. They do have some glaring issues, and they've had some bad losses. But I think they really going out and picking up a big win like this against Duke may help their cause. They crushed Gonzaga early on in the year. They beat Nebraska when people were hyping up Nebraska. They went to Michigan State and got it done. They've beaten Purdue, but they've just kind of gone around and beat the teams inside their conference. They lost to Wisconsin, which we will talk about Wisconsin's resume more as we enter the March prep show.
What a weird team.
But, you play Duke for a reason towards the end of the season. And they wouldn't take this game if they didn't think going into it that they could win. Because a loss really does nothing to you. It doesn't help you one bit. Everyone will say it's Duke, yeah, it's at home, but this is your chance to make a statement victory. Like a win against Purdue is great. A win against Michigan State on the road is really good, especially with how solid Michigan State has been for the most part. But going to Duke and winning is something that most teams don't do. And to solidify yourself as that number 1 seed and as the number 1 seed in March, I don't think you need to win this game, but I think this game puts the stamp right next to your name that says, we're title contenders. We have gone out and done every single thing asked of us. We're going to be the number 1 team heading into March, bar 2 really bad losses. And we're going to be the ones to watch out for heading into this season, which is what everyone thought they were going to be preseason. So I'm going to flip you and take Michigan.
Okay, sweet. What is the season record right now?
So I went 3-2 last week. Thank you to UNO softball for getting me those wins because to be fair, you rightfully picked St. John's and UNC. I took the Seahawks. You took the Patriots.
Okay.
I am 500 at 26-26. You are 18-34, so you are 8 games back right now.
Wow. Okay. It's the year of Casey.
It is.
Okay, so we move on to Arizona, Houston at the Fertitta Center tomorrow night. That's at Houston for those who are unaware. I've got Houston in this game. I really do. It sounds like Pete is not playing, right? He's still out. I think I saw that.
I hadn't seen I was waiting for the availability reports to come out, and I hadn't seen them yet.
Okay. Maybe it's not official, but it's sounding like he is likely not going to play. So that said, if that's the case, I've got Houston. Even if he was playing, I think I would probably still go Houston at home with a lot more of a hesitation. Granted, Arizona's still got an elite team, right? Their guards are unbelievable. Braden Burries, Jaden Bradley, Anthony Del Orso. They've got dudes, right? But I just don't know if if I can trust them to go into Houston, especially, Kelvin Sampson, those teams don't lose 2 games in a row, right? They're coming off of the loss at Hilton from Monday night. I got Houston winning this one in a big game from Kingston Flemings.
Yeah. I see. I want to take Arizona with or without Coapete. This Houston team's too good. I think Burries versus Flemings might be the most entertaining freshman on freshman matchup in the
Mm-hmm.
Big 12 this year, and that's given everything with Darren Peterson, and the only other one would be Peterson DeBanza
Mm-hmm.
that I would consider. But I think Burries has taken a huge leap up, and Kingston Flemings is absolutely insane. He was so fun to watch at Arizona or at Houston. Sorry, no, they're at Houston. I don't know why I second guess myself. I'm looking at the game right now. Uh, this Houston team's so good. Kelvin Sampson's so good. Like
Mm-hmm.
their defense is going to come out to play. I don't think Burries gets the open looks that they're hoping for, and their big might have an insane game because that's what he does. But I'm going to take Houston as well. But Houston might be in the biggest 3-game gauntlet. We thought Iowa State had a tough schedule. Houston
Oh,
going at Iowa State, home Arizona, at Kansas is just absolutely absurd.
yeah. Oh gosh, that's unbelievable. I mean, if you're Houston, you're not happy with, but you're not totally bummed out with a 1-2 performance in that stretch, right?
Yeah.
You
I
hope
mean,
to
you're
in one.
playing 3 top 8 teams.
Yeah. Not to mention 2 of them are at, 2 of the best venues in college basketball, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Houston, I mean, yeah, unbelievable roster. Their ball pressure is so good. I don't think Arizona's ready for that. I really don't think they are
Mm-mm.
ready for that kind of ball pressure. They're going to get flustered, especially at Houston too. That's going to be tough. Let's wrap it up with a little 3 for 3 action. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's a great one.
it is. Always is. I know it's a great one for you. Started off with not 3 for 3.
Yeah, my not 3 for 3. Shout out Mick Cronin. He's kind of got one leg out the door. First off, ejects his own player. Player gets a flagrant 1, walks to the bench. Mick Cronin tells him to go to the locker room. Gives him his own flagrant 2, I guess. And it was just a hard basketball play. Like it was a chase down block, and he kind of came down hard on the guy. Like it hard basketball play. You love the effort. I mean, they had a turnover and the guy chased him down from half court and made a hard foul. Oh well. And then he got mad at, I don't know if it was a student reporter or just a reporter, and started going, "Are you raising your voice at me? Are you?" And just completely unlikable right now. And I know he came out and apologized today, but we all know that was just a save face, buddy. I mean, Mick, what are you
That
doing?
was PR team for sure.
Yeah, that was the school telling him he had to. But unreal.
He's like Dan Hurley, but worse, honestly.
And I didn't know that was possible. I like Dan
Right.
Hurley, but he's done some just stupid things. But like, what are we doing? He's like if Gottlieb had a Power 5 team.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
But Gottlieb's gotten better.
Yeah. He
And
has.
Gottlieb's got 2 good wins, which I don't really like Gottlieb, but he's winning.
Yeah.
Don't like Mick Cronin. He's not winning, and he's ruining Donovan Dent's last year.
It's a shame. I'm sure his clock is certainly ticking over there at UCLA.
Yeah.
My not 3 for 3 is going to be another coach. Dude, this is what the second or third time that and I don't know if it's right or wrong. I really don't, but John Shire's been a little bit of a baby after these court storms.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm sure there was probably some stuff that went down when North Carolina charged the floor, which also, by the way, North Carolina, I get that's you're ranked in the teens. Duke is a top 5 team, whatever. If you're a blue blood, a self proclaimed blue blood, right? You don't rush the floor no matter
No.
what. But even if it happens, court storms are awesome. They're part of the sport. It's great. That's why we love it, right? John Shire is a baby every time the court is stormed against him, and it's kind of getting annoying.
It is. I love Shire, but like, come on, man.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Great coach. It seems like a great guy, but yeah, he's just a little bit of a snowflake, I think, when it comes to these things.
Yeah. You know who isn't though? This isn't one of mine, but Fred Hoiberg slapping the Iowa fan's phone has got to be the great. Not on my 3 for 3
Uh,
honorary 3 for 3 mention. We aren't big Nebraska fans. We are Fred
right.
Hoiberg fans
Oh,
though.
for sure. That was awesome.
Slapping that Iowa kid's phone.
I actually had that in my pod, sheet for today as just notes to reference, and we never got around to it. But I'm glad you threw it out there because that was awesome. Sent that little dude's phone out to pasture.
Yeah. Bad on the security for doing it. And
Right.
also the players still it was just a weird court storm because the players and coaches were going through the lines,
Right.
which is like tough. And Hoiberg said that he was like, yeah, I just wasn't a fan of when they did it. Like,
Right.
I get court storming, but like the players and coaches were right there. They're on top of us and
Mm-hmm.
literally in Hoiberg's face and in his player's face. But,
Well, and I saw something today too. Last thing on this, then we can move on. But I saw something today too that he's had heart issues in the past,
mhm.
and he has a pacemaker. And I don't know. I'm not smart enough. You might know more than me, being the kinesiology guy you are. Pre-med student, Casey Schischler, right? Or pre-PA?
Creepy,
Pre-med.
yeah.
But there's something to do with in moments like that, he's been told by his doctors. I don't know if it has something to do with like phones or what, but that could set off his pacemaker or set off something. Look that up and fact check me there. That's probably a really bad way of explaining it, but I know
Oh,
he
yeah.
mentioned something about that where
Yeah.
it was
So the
real like health
magnets,
impacts.
yeah, the magnets in electromagnetic fields and smartphones, especially like newer ones, uh, can cause issues with pacemakers if
Wow.
proper precautions are not taken. There
Mm,
must be at least 6 inches between the phone and pacemaker.
mm. And there were
And I mean, that
probably,
guy was in his face.
I was gonna say it was probably less than 6 inches.
I mean, he quite literally reached out and like slapped the phone without full extension. So
Right. Right.
I didn't even think of that either. But yeah, no.
Yeah. So anyway, definitely, I mean, even more respect to him after
Yeah.
hearing that too for doing that.
And we love him. We wish he wasn't at Nebraska, but we love
Right.
him.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm their good luck charm this year, which is really
Every game you've gone to, they've won. Is that how it goes?
every game dating back to like 2 years ago. And since
Wow.
the game that I went to, like they were on like a 3 game losing streak, I went and now look at where they are now. It's devastating.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Actual 3 for 3. You got it.
Yeah, my number 3, we're going back to the US team defeating Canada for the women's Olympic gold. But more importantly, Taylor Heisey. Yes, Nate
Yeah.
Heisey's sister was on the team and got the assist for the game-winning goal in OT.
Unbelievable.
Clutch is in their genes.
Yeah. I mean, that within a few days of each other, you've got Nate Heisey basically game-winning 3 to beat the number 2 team in the country, followed by Taylor Heisey, who somehow probably has a even bigger play than that with an assist in the Olympic championship to defeat Canada. It's good stuff.
That's awesome. Their parents just must be
Oh
through the
gosh,
roof. That's got to be one of the best weeks of your life.
that's peak. Yeah,
They're probably looking at that going, yeah, like our marriage was great, but our
right.
son hit the game-winning 3 against Houston, and our daughter just got the assist to beat Canada. Like marriage is now our second best week of our lives. That's how I would take it.
I think so too. That's pretty electric. Um, my number three, I don't know if you saw this, but it was during one of the, I don't know which it was like a ski event. I think it was just skiing itself. I'm not really sure. This wolf dog like joined in the race and crossed the finish line. Um,
Really?
yeah, it was hilarious. It was okay. It was the cross country skiing, um, just like the sprint at the end of it, and finished the home stretch. I don't know if he. I think he placed last. I think he finished right as the other guys were finishing. Actually, he might have finished before a couple people. Now again, he just kind of I think joined in, but yeah, it was pretty funny to watch.
That is awesome.
Hmm. Y'all can probably go out and find that video too.
Yeah. My number two, it's also another awesome video that everyone should go watch. Nikola Topic checked in last week for the first time for OKC. He got
Hmm.
drafted, what, over 2 years ago now, but he's been battling testicular cancer and going through treatments for that. Checked in for the first time, got his first buckets. He played in the G League and had 7 and 7 the couple days earlier. Just an awesome story for an awesome guy. Like, he is one of the guys coming out of the draft I was most excited for, because super great guy with a ton of upside, and he's gone through a ton of stuff now. Um, One of those where you can't help but cheer for him no matter what, even if he's on OKC. Like, we'll always be cheering for that guy. He has done so much, and just to come that far, and I mean, he scored NBA points in an actual game. It wasn't like they just gave it to him. I know it was the Milwaukee Bucks, so they're not great, but NBA points for a guy coming off cancer, that is just wonderful.
That's awesome. Great story. We love the feel good stories like that on here on the rundown. My number two, I had to shout out this Arkansas Alabama game from Wednesday night,
It was a great
double
game.
OT. Um, Darius Acuff Jr. with 49 points. He was unbelievable. LeBaron Philon with 35. Um, for as mediocre as the SEC has been this year, that's got to be maybe the best game we've had in college basketball to date this season. I mean,
I saw some people ranking that as like some of their top games in the last 5 years.
right,
Like, I need to go back and rewatch it because I had intramurals, but the clips I watched, it looked awesome. But
right.
people are ranking it like super high.
I bet. I mean, just on paper, right, before even watching it, you've got two top 25 teams, double overtime. Um, I mean, LeBaron Philon's one of the better players in college basketball. I don't know as much about Cuff. I think he's pretty
He's
good,
so
obviously. Yeah,
really good.
yeah.
I mean, they're both first round talents in the NBA.
Right. Just battling back and forth. Um, John Calipari and Nate Oates. I mean,
Two of the
yeah,
best offensive coaches.
right,
No defense, just
right.
offense.
0, which is why that game was 117 to 115, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah,
My number one, it was a week of feel good stories. This is another one. Anthony Kim makes his return to golf in over 16 years. Sorry, he took 12 years away, but he got his first win in 16 years last Sunday. Shot a 9 under 63. Had to take 12 years away from the sport due to injuries and then substance and health issues. And went out, got married, had a family. Him and his wife are like, hey, let's turn this around, and went and got sober from everything, went to rehab, was doing good. Him and his family are doing great. And then he came out and won the Live Tour last week, beat
mm,
John Rahm by 3 shots, and he had
mm,
like a 0.1% chance to win. He was ranked third to last in the league heading into it. And I mean, it's a guy who holds record at Augusta for one of the best rounds of all time. And to see him come so far, and another great story, great dude to happen to, and turning his life around and getting back to doing what he loves and doing it for his family.
mm. Love it. Great story. I don't know how I didn't include that one. That was awesome. Really good stuff. My number one, you already mentioned it earlier. It was just the sheer point differential that the U.S. women's hockey team showcased. this Winter Olympics, 33-2. Can confirm. Just dominance. Nothing more to be said there. But good pod, Casey.
Great pod. We are so back.
Yeah. Good chats tonight. We'll get this uploaded here. We didn't spend a ton of time obviously previewing that BYU game because that's tomorrow night already. But again, buckle up, baby. Here we go. It's go time. Hopefully if you're that kind of person who does any sort of like winter vacations, you've gotten them all done by now because you've got the TV on watching basketball from here on out for the next 6 weeks, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, yep. In the wise words of John Rothstein, there are people out there right now who are planning spring break vacations. Please pray for them.
And grab your nitroglycerin pills.
Well said. I got to leave it with that. Thank you all for tuning in this week to the edition of The Rundown with Caleb and Casey. Thank you all. See you guys next week.